This is breaking news. Trump's plan to cancel birthright citizenship just hit another wall, and this time a federal judge has stopped it for the entire country again. If you're pregnant or just had a baby in the US, listen closely. This affects your child's future.
Hello wonderful people. It's an honor to welcome you once again to another new episode on my YouTube channel. I'm Marvin for those new here, and please feel free to hit the subscribe icon below. Thank you. There's an episode I did on birthright citizenship being passed by the Senate in United States. Now, this will probably be a good news for most immigrants. Well, birthright citizenship has just been blocked by a federal judge. Well, birthright citizenship executive order blocked again. Judge blocks Trump's attempts to eliminate birthright citizenship. A federal judge in New Hampshire, Joseph LaPlante, has temporarily blocked the Trump administration plan to eliminate birthright citizenship. This means, for now, children born in the U.S. remain citizens under the 14th Amendment regardless of their parents' immigration status. While the decision is not final and could reach the Supreme Court, it provides significant relief for thousands of families. This applies to nationwide. Let's watch the full arguments and come back and discuss its implications at the end.
Trump's executive order was set to go into effect July 27th, denying automatically citizenship to U.S.-born babies unless at least one parent is a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. That would strip approximately 150,000 babies each year, and that would make them undocumented or stateless at birth. Judge Joseph LaPlante ruled that the policy is likely unconstitutional and blocked it nationwide under a class action. Even after the Supreme Court's recent decision limiting nationwide injunctions, Judge LaPlante found this loophole and was able to stop the policy across the country again because he identified that this was not even a close call in the question about constitutionality, and because baby citizenship is irreversible, it would deprive them of identity, their rights, and their future. If you're undocumented and gave birth here in the U.S., you still have rights. If this nationwide block is overturned later, you may still qualify to sue individually under the 14th Amendment and a Supreme Court and pass precedent in court cases that protects babies born in the U.S. If you're not sure whether you're covered under this ruling, get to talking to an immigration attorney ASAP, so that you can understand what the best way is to protect your baby's citizenship.
They're really trying to erase babies now. Yeah, actual babies born in America. Trump's back at it, but a federal judge just slammed the brakes. This week, a judge in New Hampshire blocked Trump's executive order that tried to end birthright citizenship. You know, the right to be an American just by being born here. Trump wants to strip that away from kids whose parents were undocumented or just visiting. That's over 150,000 babies a year. This is about the 14th Amendment, written after slavery to make sure black people were recognized as citizens. Now Trump's using that same amendment to claim that certain children don't count, saying their parents aren't under U.S. jurisdiction. That's a dog whistle for racism and xenophobia. Let's call it what it is. They're rewriting who gets to be called American. What makes this scary? The Supreme Court already opened the door a little. They didn't strike down Trump's ban. They delayed it. So this federal judge stepping in, that bought us time. But 28 states haven't joined the lawsuits yet, meaning if we stay quiet, Trump might get his way in those other 28 states. Don't let history repeat. The 14th Amendment was built to protect us. And if they can take citizenship away from them, they're coming for yours next. Know your rights, follow the case, and don't stop fighting. Because they're not just changing laws, they're changing who belongs in America.
Breaking news, guys. Trump's birthright citizenship order has been blocked just now. So a federal judge in New Hampshire has temporarily blocked the enforcement of President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship. The judge granted nationwide class certification but limited the class to infants born in the U.S. to non-citizen parents. Parents themselves were removed from the case. In his ruling, the judge stated that denying U.S. citizenship in this way would cause irreparable harm under the 14th Amendment. We're expecting a full written decision by the end of the day from the judge. While this is a major development, the ruling is almost certain to be appealed by the Trump administration. They're going to appeal this. The case comes after the Supreme Court's 6-3 decision in late June 2025, which held that nationwide relief must be sought through class action lawsuits. That decision did not address the legality of the birthright citizenship ban itself, but it narrowed the power of lower courts to issue nationwide or universal injunctions. Justice Department officials have already informed the courts that they plan to begin enforcing Trump's order to end birthright citizenship as early as July 27th, relying on the 30-day stay outlined in the Supreme Court's decision.
A federal judge in New Hampshire just certified a class action for all children born in the United States, no matter who his or her parents are, legal, not legal, citizen, not citizen, and blocked the executive order by Donald Trump from taking effect anywhere in the country. 2 weeks ago, I said this was going to happen. I must have a crystal ball. But after July 27th, you have to rely on new litigation that's expected, and they're going to make it a class action. But here's the catch. Just last month, the Supreme Court ruled that federal judges can't issue nationwide injunctions unless it's in the context of the parties before them. So now this class action lawsuit is racing back to the Supreme Court again. And here's what the next battle is going to be. Can federal judges issue nationwide injunctions in the context of a class action lawsuit? They weren't able to issue a nationwide injunction in an action by the states challenging the constitutionality of Trump's executive. My bet, the Supreme Court is going to say, if you're part of the class action, the injunction applies to you. You have to be part of the lawsuit. Join it. And if you don't know about the class action, you're going to be out of luck. But that's, again, my crystal ball guess. But we'll see. Because if they allow this class action lawsuit to cover everybody, children born in the United States, despite who their parents are, it's going to blow up Donald Trump's executive order barring birthright citizenship. And if you think it's ironic that it's a Republican judge pushing this back to the Supreme Court, you are not alone.
Yet another judge said the hell with the Supreme Court. Listen to this, guys. We have some breaking news. A federal Bush-appointed judge has blocked President Trump's birthright citizenship executive order, circumventing the Supreme Court ruling that limits how courts can block policies nationwide. President Trump's birthright citizenship executive order would have taken effect on July 27th in the block state, here up in the red. This means the children born to a non-citizen illegal immigrant will not be issued a birth certificate or a social security number, nor will they be qualified to receive any public benefits because they are stateless. With this judge's new ruling, these children now can continue to receive a birth certificate and a social security number, and they will qualify for any federal benefits because they will still get birthright citizenship.
Today, July 10th in New Hampshire, a federal court certified a nationwide class to block President Trump's birthright citizenship order. The court certified the provisional class and granted a preliminary injunction. The class includes all babies who are born in the United States after February 20, 2025 to mothers who are not here legally or who are here legally but temporarily. And the injunction stops enforcement of the order while litigation is pending. Now, the court stayed its order for 7 days for an appeal. The earlier Supreme Court decision dealing with birthright citizenship does not apply here because that order specifically dealt with nationwide injunctions. And the case today is dealing with a nationwide class of plaintiffs. A class is a specific mechanism through the federal rules that allows similar plaintiffs with typical claims to come together as one group to try their claims together. During the birthright citizenship arguments before the Supreme Court, the question was specifically asked, if the nationwide injunction wasn't the mechanism to use, should a plaintiff use the class mechanism? And the ACLU, after that decision came down, filed this case.
We have breaking news. A federal judge has once again blocked President Donald Trump's executive order, which sought to eliminate birthright citizenship for the children of immigrants in the United States. This means the executive order is now officially blocked nationwide. So, if you have a child born in the U.S., they will be a citizen, thanks to this decision. I know this can be confusing, so let me explain a bit. A few days ago, the Supreme Court did not rule that the right to birthright citizenship is illegal. Instead, they ruled that the way federal judges had previously blocked the executive order was improper. Following that decision, new lawsuits were filed, and this time, federal courts correctly blocked Trump's executive order. As a result, it cannot be implemented, and immigrant families remain protected.
Okay, so boom, so a federal judge out of New Hampshire said, blocked again, bitch, what you thought? Okay, so you said the Supreme Court said they need a class action? Cool, certify the class, blocked. So what happened was, on day one of him getting into office, 47 signed this executive order basically saying, we are changing the definition of birthright citizenship. We don't know what to tell you. So at this point in the game, if at least one of your parents are not a citizen here, neither are you, baby. So any babies born after July 27th, 2025, yeah, we don't know what to tell you. Go figure it out. So of course 47 got sued because people was like, hold up, pump your brakes. That's a violation of the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment and the Naturalization Act. Like, what is wrong with you? So a court agreed with them and basically was like, hey, 47, you're gonna have to put a pause on that executive order. We don't know what to tell you until we figure this out for real. We need to see if this is constitutional or not. But at this point in the game, this executive order does not apply nowhere in the United States. So as of right now, everybody who had a baby here, if your baby is born here, your baby is a citizen. Outside of whether you an enemigo or if you are an ambassador, you know doggone well that you are not subject to the laws and jurisdictions of the state. You just staying here for work. So don't play. But everybody else, y'all straight for now. Well, the 47 administration did not like that. And they was like, that's not the play. That's not the plan. That's not what we're going with. So check this out. We finna go to the court and let the court know we don't think that one judge in one place in one particular state should be able to tell us, the executive, the executive, what the hell I could do in the entire United States of America. That's not how that works. Where do you get that power from? Nah. Let's go check in with the big dogs at the Supreme Court and see how they feel about it. So you already know the people at the Supreme Court, most of them, they some busters, right? So when the case get to them, it's like Trump v. Casa Inc. or something like that. Anyways, when the case get to them, right, they like, yeah, you know what? We not really cool with these nationwide injunctions. We don't think courts, you should be doing that. You should just stick to what's happening in your jurisdiction. You should not be able to tell the president of the United States where he can conduct business elsewhere, right? Goofies. Okay, so they said that. But they also gave a loophole and was like, yo, but if they file a class action, they are part of a class action, then it apply to them. It apply wherever the class is at. So we can't do nothing about that. Now, of course, Justice Sotomayor, she dissent. She like, well, all due disrespect, this is some bullshit. Okay, first of all, this shit is unconstitutional. Y'all are some fucking goofies. I can't believe we doing this. I'm not with this. We are in danger. This shit they doing is dangerous. Okay. When the case got to this judge right here, he was like, oh, y'all got a class? It's a class certified. Let's run it. Matter of fact, hold on. We're going to get a government a couple of days to say whatever they need to say, and then we'll go from there. Of course, the government is going to appeal, but we're going to see how this goes from here.
Breaking birthright citizenship news. A federal judge in New Hampshire has blocked temporarily the executive order ending birthright citizenship for certain natural-born citizens and said that he will allow a class action lawsuit to move forward. Judge Joseph LaPlante confirmed that the class action lawsuit will be certified by the court. The certification is a necessary step to a class action lawsuit where the courts basically certify that the filing of individual lawsuits would be impractical and that all of the plaintiffs have similar or identical claims. The judge also issued a preliminary injunction temporarily blocking the executive order, but also issued a 7-day stay allowing the White House to appeal, an appeal that, in my mind, for sure will come very shortly. The original lawsuit was filed by a pregnant woman and a set of parents and their children, but that changed very quickly after the June 27 decision by the Supreme Court that ruled that federal lower court judges could not issue nationwide injunctions. The lawsuit from that moment sought to represent children and their parents that are affected by the executive order, in other words, became a class action lawsuit. Now, the plaintiffs originally requested that the class include all children and their parents affected by the executive order, but the federal judge today narrowed that definition, including in the class only the children and excluding the parents, and that's very important. I'll tell you why in a second. Now, the likely next step is that the Trump administration will file an appeal, and with it will file an emergency motion to block the federal judge's injunction. That appeal will happen before the First Circuit Court of Appeals, and that court will need to decide on the matter of the injunction and the emergency motion, as well as the class. And in my opinion, the First Circuit Court of Appeals will decide in favor of the plaintiffs, reaffirming the emergency injunction, as long as the plaintiffs can show irreparable harm to the children if the executive order goes into motion. And the Court of Appeals also, in my opinion, will reaffirm the validity of the class, especially considering that the federal judge made it a point of narrowing that class, as I said before, including only children and not the parents, ensuring that nobody could say that that is a nationwide injunction. But of course, this is my theory, and we'll have to see what happens.
We have some big news today, a very busy news day, and it starts off with a bang. Today, the Trump administration's Birthright Citizenship executive order, which rewrote the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, it was blocked again by a federal judge in New Hampshire, this time as a federal judge has now certified a class of individuals, babies born after February 19th, that would be impacted by this executive order that could have had their citizenship stripped from them because they were born to two undocumented parents. Well, now, this is a major decision because it blocks the Birthright Citizenship executive order from taking effect nationwide. It's a workaround around the Supreme Court's ruling on nationwide injunctions, which left the door open for a decision like this. Meanwhile, an ICE attorney, Adam Boyd, has resigned in protest over what he called a shift from targeting serious threats to the United States homeland to chasing deportation quotas to please Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, who has demanded that ICE reach 3,000 deportations per day just to boost statistics. Before I continue, please consider subscribing to my Substack by clicking the button below or sending a one-time donation via Venmo to support my work. Your support is invaluable, and it allows me to do this full time. Texas State Senator Angela Paxton has filed divorce from Attorney General Ken Paxton, stating that despite efforts at reconciliation, quote, recent discoveries have led her to conclude that her marriage would not honor God or be loving for herself, her children, or for Ken Paxton. Now, this is a big deal and could cost Republicans a Senate seat in Texas because right now John Cornyn is up for re-election in Texas, and John Cornyn is facing a primary challenge from none other than Ken Paxton, who's actually leading by about 20 points in the polls right now. If he's the nominee, well, Republicans are going to have to answer to whatever skeletons are about to come out of his closet. And the National Republican Senatorial Committee has already responded to the divorce with a sharp rebuke, calling Ken Paxton's actions, quote, repulsive and disgusting, expressing support for Angela Paxton as she chooses to stand up for herself and her family during this difficult time. We got a lot of news about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, some interesting. First, according to Michael Wolff, a author, Trump reportedly considered pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell out of fear she might reveal damaging details about his decade-long friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving a 20-plus year sentence in Pensacola for aiding and abetting Epstein's horrific crimes. Bill O'Reilly says he spoke with Donald Trump on St. Patrick's Day about the Epstein files, which Trump claimed could, quote, destroy innocent people. These Epstein files are not public. Thomas Fugate, a 22-year-old Trump superfan and recent college graduate with past jobs as a gardener and a grocery clerk.
Federal judge blocks Trump's birthright citizenship order and satisfies a nationwide action for all children born in the US. But will the Supreme Court allow it? This ruling protects all children born after February 20th, 2025 nationwide. The judge called the attempt to strip citizenship irreparable harm and reaffirmed that US citizenship is a constitutional right made under the 14th Amendment. The decision comes weeks after the Supreme Court limited judges' ability to issue broad injunctions, but class action lawsuits like this one remain a legal path forward. Well, it's a win, but temporary for now. For more updates on birthright citizenship in US, kindly subscribe to my channel and I will keep you updated and posted. Remember to share if you find this episode educative. Thank you, America. Bye.